Hello, and welcome to part 2 of Thoughts on the Way Home of Oscar-nominated films. Today we're reviewing the remaining 5 that were not done last week: Dunkirk, Darkest Hour, Call Me By Your Name, The Post, and Get Out. Again, it's just going to be some quick snippet reviews for each. Let's begin. Dunkirk is the epic war drama by Christopher Nolan about the evacuation of Dunkirk during the early stages of World War II. In true Christopher Nolan fashion, the timeline is a little bit jumbled up, but it all makes sense. It's a very well done, very Christopher Nolan-esque film. Unfortunately, none of the individual performances stand out. I honestly couldn't even tell you the name of pretty much any character. But it was a very enjoyable film. Maybe not one of Christopher Nolan's best, but still, even not at the top of his game, Christopher Nolan films are still very good. Definitely recommend, definitely worth a watch. The Darkest Hour is about the kind of flip side of Dunkirk. It's more how the evacuation of Dunkirk kind of happened, as well as the early time of Winston Churchill as Prime Minister. This was a really well acted film. Definitely some fine performance from Gary Oldman, who is, except for close-ups, almost kind of unrecognizable in the makeup and everything as Winston Churchill. It's a very strong character piece, but it is definitely, kind of an Oscar baity movie, but it's still definitely worth a watch and definitely very entertaining. Call Me By Your Name is kind of an interesting film. It's a very artsy film. At first, I didn't think I was really going to care for it. It kind of started out, and I was getting kind of a Phantom Thread vibe from that. I was figuring I was going to be real bored throughout. But at some point, probably during the first act, I can't really pinpoint when, but the movie just kind of clicked for me. And I'm like, okay, I was on board for, everything, the story. It's a very beautifully shot film. It's still very much not for everybody, especially if you are not a fan of artsy films. But it was enjoyable. Maybe not one I'd revisit again for a while. I would definitely, give that one a recommendation as well. The Post is a Steven Spielberg movie starring Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep, and it is about the finding of the Pentagon Papers and the Washington Post's involvement in that as they kind of struggle to keep up with the New York Times and dealing with Nixon and censorship of the press by the government. And realistically, it's exactly what you expect it to be. The movie really doesn't throw you any curveballs. It was an enjoyable film, well acted. It's Spielberg, Hanks, and Streep. It's hard to go wrong with that trio. But it's not really a particularly challenging film, and I honestly think is mainly nominated because of Hanks, Spielberg, and Streep. It's kind of like you're checking 3 boxes off on the to be nominated list. But I mean, it was still enjoyable. It wasn't, again, not anything challenging, but not a bad movie either. Get Out, I've already done a review for, and wow, it is still an excellent movie. It pieces together so much better on a second viewing, as thriller movies tend to, but just the attention to detail that Jordan Peele put into that movie is just absolutely phenomenal. It is so worth your time, and I highly recommend Get Out. If you haven't seen it by now, it's been out for over a year at this point. You definitely either go see Get Out, rent Get Out, whatever you got to do, watch Get Out. It is good. So that wraps up the Oscar-nominated Best Picture films. If you're able to see any of them, my top 3 recommendations out of the group would definitely be Get Out, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, and Lady Bird. Those 3 absolutely wowed me this year. Out of the entire slew, most of them are very, very good movies. Those are the 3 that if you have to pick a couple, watch those 3 first, definitely. And those have been my thoughts on the way home from Dunkirk, Darkest Hour, Call Me By Your Name, The Post, and Get Out.